Good morning, good afternoon, and
Hi.
good evening from wherever you're calling from. You're home here at Cabin. We have a great Cabin Weekly planned for y'all today, and we are going to be giving some cabin updates as well as sharing a little bit from our latest city council retreat, which followed the MCon conference that Cabin sponsored, which we talked a little bit about last week on the Cabin Weekly. But before we get into it, looks like we have some newer faces here on the call today. So just wanted to hold some space for folks that maybe don't usually join the Cabin Weekly call to just have an opportunity to introduce themselves to the community here. So if you feel comfortable, feel free to come unmute and say hi.
Hey everyone, I'm Daniel Morgan. I recently got sucked into the Cabin ecosystem at the Mantaya retreat. I'm excited to hear updates on what's going on and see how I can plug in.
Welcome, Daniel. For better or worse, it looks like you are sucked in. Welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Charlie. I got sucked into the Cabin ecosystem through my co-founder Sam. We have a property together in Puerto Rico, and he organized 2 different cabin build weeks there. They just finished. So here I am. Gotta learn more.
Awesome. Hello, Charlie. Any other newer folks on the call want to say hi?
Yeah, hi, I'm Travis. I've been lurking here for a little while. Had the opportunity to chat with Jonathan and Chalice and some of you others recently. I have some land out here in northern New Mexico that I'm trying to integrate into the cabin network. So I'm just here to learn and see how that might be possible. Good to be here.
Awesome. Welcome, Travis. Looking forward to connecting with you later as well.
Great to see you here, Travis. Really excited about the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah, likewise.
Very cool. Anyone else want to say hi today? All right, we're going to keep it rolling then. Welcome to the newer folks here. It looks like we have the one, the only builder in residence, Charlie, on the call today. I'm surprised you're not in the shed room right now. It's great to have you here. For folks that haven't been keeping up with the latest happenings at Neighborhood Zero, Charlie is hard at work building shed rooms. It's basically Cabin's R&D arm over there. And Charlie, how we doing? How we doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Yeah, we're doing well. John's now at Neighborhood Zero as well for a couple of days. And so we've been walking around the property and starting to plan infrastructure and whatnot, both for the shed room, but also like the upcoming bathhouse and then the second shed room. So it's been good to have him around. Another human is always nice. Zach came up last night as well. And yeah, the shed room's underway. You'll see in the video this week, I got some of the interior wood finish on. And yeah, we're making progress.
Sweet. So part of Charlie's builder in residence is that he is also making a YouTube video every week. So video 1 dropped last week, and video 2 just dropped, I guess, today. So we are going to start a new cabin tradition here at the end of every Cabin Weekly call. We're going to watch the video together. I saw that the new one was live because, of course, I had my notifications bell selected on YouTube and I was promptly notified of the new video. I started watching it, but I had to kind of hold myself back because I wanted to watch it with all of y'all. So excited to end the call today with watching it. There's going to be some fun instructions on how we watch it together, but stay tuned for those. Awesome. So I'm back here in LA after a nice 10-day trip to Denver, and I was so excited to return to my 5 baby tomato plants that I've been talking about over the last couple months that I'm growing from seed. I was so excited. I had 2 of my roommates that were going to be, watering them in my absence. And I run up to my roof, I open the door, and I was expecting this large, big tomato bush, and some sad news today. My tomato plants are not doing too well. This is really upsetting. It almost feels like a loss. It's hot here in Southern California, and I guess, my roommates just didn't help me out. They didn't help me out. And it's really tough, but I went and I did some pruning. I'm trying to bring them back to life. I think we have about 5 small cherry tomatoes that have budded, but it's all part of the journey. And I was reflecting here of like, one day I want to have a food forest, and there's going to be more hands needed than just my roommates that couldn't get the job done here on watering. And I'm like, it really is another reminder of how important it is to have a good caretaker and a team of contributors to making, these properties in nature really special and sustainable. And, the question I was pondering is like, how do we create environments where multiple people feel this sense of ownership and deep care over a space? And then kind of the follow-up question to that is like, how do we diversify this ownership over kind of special tasks? So for example, someone's responsible for grocery shopping, someone's responsible for organizing events, someone's taking ownership on cooking initiatives, someone's managing the garden. And I was thinking like, could these all be for one caretaker, or could they be spread out among multiple residents that are co-living together? And one idea is that you have individuals or squads take ownership over specific objectives to obtain these key results. So for example, in my house right now, I own meal planning and meal prep, and then I spend around 20 to 30 hours a week thinking about these tomato plants. Now, these are the 2 things that I am like the clear owner for. But that said, I can still seek and care for other initiatives that are happening in the house, even though I'm not the clear owner. So I think there's a larger metaphor that we can draw here regarding Cabin's last few months, kind of navigating this transition from guilds to quests, from retreats to co-living, from the DAO as this kind of network of creators that are doing work for the DAO, more so to the DAO as this network of neighborhoods filled with good vibes. So these are kind of some of the conversations that were taking place over the last, week or 2 in Denver. And yeah, I just want to take a minute to acknowledge that like this is a challenge regarding Cabin's, evolution and sort of balancing this holy trinity of community, service providers, which are like people and fellowships working and completing quests for the DAO, and then our co-living residents, which are in a sense Cabin's customers, and that's just a placeholder. We definitely need a better word there, but these service providers exist to serve Cabin and the community and our co-living residents. So I just want to share, I was doing some writing yesterday and just want to share, another note on some reflections I'm having, and basically that Cabin is evolving, we're growing, and this naturally will have challenges. And with that, I think there's an important point I want to make today as Cabin continues to blossom, because I think some things have gotten a bit confusing as this like evolution has continued. And the first is that over the last few months, some people have probably realized that Cabin has been transitioning from the DAO as this network of freelance workers and creators, and more so becoming a DAO that is this network of neighborhoods or properties. And this network is this, connecting beautiful people with beautiful places and spaces. And I think this will continue to be a transition as we all navigate and live through our values of conserve, co-live, and create. And we walk into the partial unknowing, but into a new world where the land is cared for, people's needs are fulfilled, our brains are challenged, our days are lovely, our souls nurtured. And here at Cabin, we're a co-living organization, changing the way people live. At the crossroads of technology and nature, we find harmony. And at the crossroads of the professional and the personal, we find harmony. And as we navigate the crossroads and continue this journey as a community, I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here. Your presence is welcomed, you are seen, you are loved, and together we walk forward. Now, if you don't feel seen or heard, we have created a feedback form as we go into this next season, fall 22. So if you don't feel comfortable sharing thoughts or feedback on community calls like this, please take some time and do so in our feedback form. I will put the link here in the chat for folks. If you have some time today or maybe this week, please go ahead and leave some thoughts there. And I need to send to everyone. Sorry, just hopping back here in the chat. So there's the link for that. And yeah, some more updates, but just wanted to share some thoughts there. So City Council had our retreat last week. This is our seasonal retreat here at Cabin. We talk in seasons, not in quarters. Now, John, I was curious if you had any thoughts on the City Council retreat and maybe want to share about some recent proposals that are going to be live for feedback and eventual voting on by the community.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, JD. First of all, I've been traveling a lot this summer, and it's really nice to be just back out here at home at Neighborhood Zero. I just came to sit outside on the front deck and wanted to share the view with everyone because we have some really beautiful clouds today. So it's great to be back out here, and also with Charlie planning out the rest of the build. And it reminds me that this is what brings my heart a lot of joy in the way that you were describing. So anyway, we had a really great retreat this past week in Denver after MCon, and we had a chance to come together with the folks who have been core contributors and to talk about where we are, where we want to go next, to listen to community feedback, to try to incorporate that feedback into the plan. And there's a couple things that I want to share from that. So, this past season, the first day we spent kind of doing a look back, talking about some of the big wins from the season, the amazing co-living experience we had at Mantaya, the role we played at MCon as I think a pretty significant force for bringing people together in really great small group settings, the treasury diversification that we completed, and the the transition into a co-living network. So I think what we kind of thought was working really well with what we've been doing recently is thinking about the DAO as this network of neighborhoods, the fellowships as these autonomous units of service providers, the transition into co-living, the establishment of conserve, co-live, create as our sort of guiding principles, the clarity of having OKRs and team roles and structure, particularly within the existing fellowships last season, and sort of the steps we've taken to definancialize the DAO and the token over the course of this season. So those were all things we felt really good about. Things we felt like were not working as well or needed improving. And by the way, I don't know, let me know if you're getting wind feedback in my audio. Just the wind just picked up.
You're good.
Okay, cool. So the thing that we think really needed improving. The first piece of feedback we heard from the community was that the existing city council processes, particularly the proposal approval process, was challenging to navigate and intimidating. And so we felt like the outcome of the fellowships as autonomous units of service providers was good, but the proposal path for getting there needs improvement and another sort of iteration of our governance structure. So we can talk a little bit more about that, but we have some ideas and a proposal for how to adjust that. We also heard a lot of feedback from the community around having clear lines and distinctions between kind of three roles within the organization: the community, the residents, and the fellowships or service providers, and drawing clear distinctions between those three things and helping people understand what it means to be involved in one versus another of those three. And then the other thing that we reflected on was that we had a lot of excitement about co-buying squads going into MCON, and we used MCON as an opportunity to meet with a lot of groups about the potential for co-buying. I think what we found was, despite a lot of sort of like top level excitement about it from folks, there are not a lot of teams that are like really ready to take that next step right now, certainly fewer than we expected. Which led to us prioritizing co-living and building out the co-living within either existing cabin properties or new opportunities to bring in great caretakers that already have properties for this season, with the idea that one of the best ways that we can actually help support and develop the co-buying squads is by bringing people together in co-living settings first. So those are the big sets of takeaways. I can talk a little bit about kind of two proposals that we are planning to put together and put forward to the DAO as a result of some of those opportunities to change. But I guess I'll just pause there for a moment, since that was a pretty long monologue, and see if that resonates for folks. Maybe give me a quick thumbs up, thumbs down, and let me know if there's other topics that people feel like are really important for the DAO but weren't covered in that summary. Okay, cool. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up and I don't think any thumbs down. Sweet. And I've got the shaka from Kent, so I think we're good. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So what are we going to do about this? There were kind of two main proposals we talked about coming out of the city council retreat. The first one is modifying our governance process to actually basically get rid of the city council, because we don't think that structure is serving us effectively. And the proposal here is to maintain the same role for fellowships as service providers and the same basic proposal process for that, because we felt like that worked well. But instead of having the city council approval process, moving to something more in line with how a lot of other DAOs operate, which is to just have a token threshold for proposal submission, and then allow DAO members to delegate tokens to people. And the idea here is that this would open up the, essentially the number of people that can put proposals up for a vote, and would also create a path for people who don't have a lot of tokens to get delegated tokens and meet that threshold, or to sort of form coalitions to bring proposals forward. So the way that we talked about structuring that was essentially changing it so that anybody with 1,000 cabin that they either hold or are delegated to them can submit a proposal to Snapshot for a DAO vote, to turn on delegation in Snapshot, so people who don't have that much cabin can get it delegated to them. And then third, to put Phil onto the multi-sig, and to replace Dave Marin with Phil. Dave was one of the original multi-sig members. He's still a member of the DAO and involved. I think he, has a full-time job at Consensus, and would probably appreciate us, basically making it so that he doesn't have to be involved in signing all of the transactions. Phil is obviously, one of the folks who's been on the team the longest, and I think would be a great fit for stepping into that role. So that's the kind of package of governance changes that we discussed and are interested in putting forward to the DAO. I'll put together a more full write-up of that. We'll of course have the ability for people to comment on it, provide feedback, and then we can put it up to the DAO for a vote. And then the second proposal that we spent a lot of time talking about, of course, was the first fellowship and the essentially OKRs for this next season and the extension of that fellowship. So there's a couple of pieces of this. I think the first one is that we have a clear set of OKRs that we can share that are very in line with what we've been working on. Basically, how do we continue to grow the community? How do we support the URL community? And how do we support the IRL community? And so again, I will share the write-up on that with the specific goals. I think the North Star that we're targeting is essentially what we're calling NIBS, NIHIB, nightly heads in beds, which is essentially how many people are actually living at cabin tonight. And that's something that we want to grow. And obviously there's a lot of components of how we grow that include, things like continuing to grow the URL community, continuing to grow our email list, continuing to add new neighborhoods, and then continuing to have more people living at those neighborhoods. But that's sort of, I think, the clearest North Star for the fellowship. And we also have realized that yes, thank you for the chat comments there. That's exactly it. And then the other components of this are, we've realized that we're at the point where it's hard to recruit and retain talent within the fellowship when we're doing everything just on a season-to-season budgeting cycle. And so we will be making a longer-term proposal for this fellowship, which will be a year-long proposal. The DAO will still have the ability to, essentially turn off the funding each season, but it'll be default on instead of default off each season, which can help provide more, sense of longevity and security for people participating as service providers to the DAO. And then in order to help with the distinction that the community has been requesting with the clear lines between community residents and fellowships, we are intending to essentially migrate the first fellowship to a new location where we're kind of having the conversations within a sort of new server that will still be totally visible and available for everyone to read, but will just help really set up the Discord as a space that can be the community's space and that can help draw some of those clear lines that people have been requesting. Okay, so I just threw out a lot of information. Like I said, all of this is stuff that I'll be writing up and putting into the governance discussion channel this week, but wanted to give everybody here a little bit of alpha and preview about it, and then open up space for any questions that folks have.
I have a dumb question.
Great, we love dumb questions.
I'm pretty new to the cabin ecosystem. I kind of understand what you guys are about, but I don't really understand the decentralized DAO tokenization ownership stuff. Where would be the best? Is there like a video primer on that, or what would be the best way for me to kind of get up to speed with how that actually works?
One place I would recommend is our kind of light paper that talks about the structure of the DAO and the token model, which you can find on the website. Let me go ahead and pull up a link for that for you, and I'll drop it in the chat.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
I got it, John.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great place to start, Charlie. There's a lot of stuff in there. Any other thoughts or questions from folks?
Yeah, the quick one. Oh, sorry, you go first, Matthew.
Oh, so I have a quick question about moving the current fellowship to its own server. My immediate reaction was I worry that may create a little bit of artificial separation between the fellowship and the rest of the DAO. Can you explain like the reasoning behind separating that out into its own server versus just a separate channel within our current server?
Yeah, definitely. And this is not something I think we're like strongly wed to, but there's a couple of reasons. The first reason is that you know, I think in the long run, probably having different fellowships, like having essentially control of their own chat environments in a way that's still fully transparent to the organization is just like a good, it's like the DAO native way to do it. And there's a great law. I wish I could remember who came up with this law, but basically that like the communication structures of an organization like mirror or end up determining the organizational structures. And so I think to the extent that we view these fellowships as you know, kind of like independent pods within the DAO, it makes sense for them to have autonomy over you know, their sort of local work environment, as long as it's transparent and available to anybody who wants to see it within the community. I think that the you know, less philosophical and more practical reason is this is basically one in response to feedback that we heard from the community. Conway's law. Thank you, Charlie. Conway's law. Yeah, that's a good one. It's in response to feedback that we heard from the community that there's unclear sort of boundaries between the community and the like service providers or work of the DAO right now. And that we want to at least experiment with ways to help create clear lines that people are looking for so that they know, you know, kind of which bucket they're in. And it doesn't stop anyone from being a part of multiple buckets. It's just a method of making sure that at least people understand, okay, I am, you know, sort of like operating in this bucket right now. And then the third reason is, you know, there's a new tool called Geneva, which is basically like a Web3 native Discord. And we felt like it would be far too disruptive to try to like just migrate the whole DAO to some new tool. But we do want to test it out and play around with it and sort of explore the new tool and see if it's a good fit for us in the future. And this felt like a lighter weight way to do that.
Cool. Makes sense. Thank you.
Is there a list of current fellowships or active initiatives that the cabinet is working on?
Yeah, so every fellowship gets voted on by the DAO. And so they're in our snapshot. There's currently 2 live fellowships, the Neighborhood Development Fellowship and the Podcast Fellowship. And I'll drop the snapshot link in here. So if you want to check out those fellowships or the OKRs associated with them, you can see the proposals in there. We'll be doing a new proposal for the OKRs that I was talking about earlier.
Awesome, thanks.
I think it was Brad. Did you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, just a quick one. I'm just interested to learn how you guys are thinking about the team and the structure moving forward. I listened to the podcast, and I'm just wondering, are you planning to have a small core team of decision makers, and will that become a foundation, and then further growing these network neighborhoods or fellowship programs?
Yeah, so we have tried to take what we think is a very DAO-like approach to this, which is basically to so the DAO itself is structured as a network of neighborhoods. The neighborhoods are these independently owned and operated entities. The DAO itself is an unincorporated nonprofit association that serves these neighborhoods. And then the fellowships are service providers to that network that do the work of building that network. And the DAO votes to you know, approve both neighborhoods and fellowships as these sort of independent you know, semi-autonomous units within the larger constellation of the DAO. And we think that that structure is a pretty good structure for where we're at. You know, we're still though very much iterating on the governance processes associated with it. And if you want to learn more about that, that link that JD dropped in with the light paper does a pretty good job of laying out those different roles and how it all works.
Thanks, Sean. Great
Cool.
question, Brad and Matthew.
Yeah, just want to say thank you both for all the questions now, and for all of the community feedback that people provided last week. I think that was really helpful in us shaping where we landed. And so, yeah, just thank you everybody for providing that feedback. And please don't hesitate to share more with me. Feel free to reach out, after the call if you have more questions, or hop on once I share those proposal drafts, and provide any feedback on them that you want to. Really appreciate it.
Looks like we have a question from Tippy in the chat. What were some of the key learnings for the cabin team from the co-living at Mantaya? So specifically on the co-living. Yeah, it's a great question. I think one just immediate reaction is, like, can we potentially clone Kayla because she's amazing? Like, she really is just an awesome facilitator and just such a special human. I finally got to meet her IRL a couple weeks ago, and yeah, from Zoom to real life, it plays out for sure. Yeah, Matthew and John. Yeah, totally. So yeah, I think there's just like a larger takeaway from just like the caretaker. I think another learning is how important it is to have what we're now kind of calling like nature out the door. Having like regional access to like great nature, but also like at Neighborhood Zero, where you can just kind of go for a walk and just kind of feel like you're immersing yourself. Any other cabin members want to share some other learnings from Mantaya?
I'll share just the offering of a longer term stay versus a shorter term stay, of people renewing or like wanting to stay longer than the 2 weeks, was kind of informative for our co-living passes.
That extension mindset. We love it.
I think Mantaya also helped us kind of nail down the kinds of neighborhoods that we want, how close to nature, how far from nature, and even having that new example aside from Neighborhood Zero was helpful in helping us figure out the patterns of what does a great neighborhood look like, and as what JD was saying, what great caretakers look like too.
I'd also add, it's not too late for us to keep learning. If you haven't done the feedback form for Mantaya, and if you're in this call, would love to hear what you want us to have as a key takeaway or a key learning from that event.
Any other just general questions, thoughts, feedback folks want to share? Yes, Ken, please. We'd love to see you again soon. Great. I think this actually is a nice segue. I want to share some more about the conversations we had about neighborhoods, because the criteria has been kind of getting more and more clear, but I think we feel right now that we have a really good sense of what makes up a great neighborhood. Also, before I talk about that, Lauren, what is up? Lauren on the call. Shouts out to Cabin Mom in the house. It looks like you're in Minnesota, just judging by that stonework I've seen. And John is in Texas. So interesting. Okay. Well, I know y'all both been traveling a lot. So I just hope that you guys get some good quality one-on-one couple time soon. Right now, it's just John and Charlie doing their thing, and the cows, of course. That is the new atomic family here.
Yeah, we are excited to reunite on Wednesday.
Nice.
Yeah. As some of the first people living across the cabin network, I think we have both learned the importance and value of traveling and being in a bunch of different places, and also really feeling grounded and at home together. So Lauren, can't wait to see you on Wednesday.
Stop it. Oh, stop it. Stop it. It's only Monday. Come on now. Okay, great. Well, we'll continue following this story closely. Back to the regular scheduled programming here. So yeah, we're getting more clear about what makes a cabin, neighborhood so special, and what takes a random real estate property and makes it into a cabin neighborhood. And I think, some of the criteria we discussed is nature out the door. We also talked a little bit more about bed spots. And I think what we're kind of landing on is something in like the 8+ people living there at a time, potentially up to maybe 15 to 20 people. And, one of the things that I feel excited about this size is like, what brings cabin together is one of the things is breaking bread. So, okay, how do we craft an amazing dinner party? And what is the number of an amazing dinner party? And I think it could be as low as 1 or 2, but I think as you get closer to that 10-person, people like gathering around the dinner table is where you really start to see like such an amazing dynamic dinner where there's all these perspectives and history and culture coming together. So thinking about kind of 8+ bed spots. Another criteria is within 60 to 90 minutes of an airport and ideally a city. At least 100 megabits per second internet. Now we can always throw some Starlink there and elevate that. And the other thing was just kind of looking at less regulation in the local municipality, so we can build things like shed rooms more easily. So those are kind of some of the physical characteristics. I think some of the like more cultural and human-centered characteristics, really like the big one is we're looking for superb caretakers, people that have a deep sense of place and knowledge for the land. They're going to steward the land, care for the structures on that land, and really have experience hosting people and facilitating connections, which I think Kayla is so good at. So one of my personal OKRs for this upcoming season is for us to add one more neighborhood that's 100% ready to be added to our co-living pass. Basically, we can flip the switch and boom, it's added, along with Mantaya and Neighborhood Zero. So that's one of the things I'm going to be working on. I think what's great about, us building together is that let's all be on the lookout for this next property that's transformative and can, be beautiful for people. So if you have any, ideas for the next one, or, a friend or family member, I just dropped the link in the chat for the type form. That's our prospective new neighborhood intake form. So that's really like the first tangible step for folks that want to add one of their properties into, the cabin network of neighborhoods. Speaking of co-living in the network, co-living at Neighborhood Zero starts in less than 2 weeks. We are, talking with folks right now, reviewing all the applications. So it's starting October 1st, but it will continue into 2023. So if you're interested and you haven't yet filled out that form, I'll drop that there in the chat as well. Be sure to fill that out as soon as possible. And I want to save some time for Charlie's video, so I want to be mindful of that. I hope y'all are getting ready. The first couple minutes had me engaged. Let me tell you, YouTube algorithm, get with the program, because we have a new creator on the scene here. But before we do so, I thought, we'd have a couple minutes maybe to just do a quick kind of community brainstorm. Because, one of the things we're discussing as we kind of find this balance between our co-living residents and the cabin community and the service providers is creating more space and pathways for folks that maybe aren't ready to jump into the co-living pass, or don't have a property that they, want to add to this network. So some of the conversations were centered around, what are these spaces where folks can engage and kind of contribute to the cabin community? So I'll kind of kick off this brainstorm with an idea for a new channel. And that channel is going to be, well, I want feedback on it, but like a living green channel. And that kind of incorporates like permaculture, sustainable living, biking, walking, maybe, people sharing pictures of some nature porn, things like that. So like a channel where people can just share kind of their living green experiences. Another channel is maybe like office for the day. People are working in, unique places all around the world. Like, well, would it be cool to have a channel where people could share kind of where they're set up shop for the day? So I thought maybe we just take a couple minutes. Of course, if you want to chat more about, some of these ideas, please reach out to me. But do any folks have some thoughts off the bat of like good spaces or ways for folks to engage if they're not ready to maybe, jump on the co-living pass? I know I'm putting you all on the spot, and that's okay. If you have more thoughts, feel free to reach out. Okay, I'm going to take that as y'all are overwhelmed with ideas and can't decide on one to share. And that's okay. That is totally okay. Some other ideas we're kicking around is like a touch grass channel where people share, pictures of them in nature. We're also working on like a community referral program for people to refer new residents and properties, to the DAO. Also some community competitions, which I think could be really fun. And speaking of community competitions, we're going to kick off a community competition right now here live, but we need your help to do so. And we need your eyes because we're going to be watching the latest shed room video from Charlie. And the competition is pretty simple. Throughout the video, we're going to be commenting, throwing comments and emoji reacts in the cabin general chat. We're going to fuck around a little bit, have some fun in the general chat. So as the video is playing, people are going to be sharing comments, jokes, whatever in the general chat. Whichever comment gets the most amount of emoji reacts. No, John, you can't emoji react your own comment. Whatever comment gets the most emoji reacts, we'll get a fun little gift of 5 cabin. So we're going to get into the video here. Now, there's a few steps to make sure we do this right. The first step is that everyone is going to watch the video on their own YouTube account, their own screen. I'm not going to share screen. So we're all going to pull it up and press play. Don't worry, it's only 67 minutes long, so I hope you don't have any other meetings. No, I'm just kidding. It's less than 10 minutes, so don't worry. If you need to drop, that's totally cool. We will get you out of here before the 30-minute mark here. But I'm going to drop the link to the video in the Zoom chat here. So the first step is everyone pulling this video up. So I'll give people a second to click on that link and open it up another screen. We want to have our Discord and our YouTube side by side. If you can set that up. Now, if you're following along here, you've clicked the link. Great. Now, another thing you have to check on, are you logged into your Google or YouTube account? Because what we're going to do is after we share these comments in the general chat, we're actually going to move our favorite comments over to the YouTube page. These algorithms, they're not going to even know what hit them. Yes, Charlie, we're getting the comments going. We're getting the engagement going. So give me a thumbs up if you've opened up the YouTube video. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you have checked that you're logged into your account. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you have the Discord general chat open. Yes. Okay. It's all happening here. Now, I'm going to do a countdown and we're all going to play the video at the same exact time. So we're synced up. Okay. Now, we will need y'all to mute your Zoom microphone. It looks like people have done that already. And we're going to play the video together. So, all right, I'm going to do some tab cleanup here just to get myself ready. Okay. It's all happening. I am doing a side-by-side screen. This is a great opportunity. If you haven't done that, to set that up. I don't think I can actually do that. So just have the Discord general chat ready. Okay. Okay. Are folks ready here? Are we ready? Are we good? Okay, we're good. So I'm going to count down from 5 and we are going to all press play at the same time. I will see you all in the general chat and we'll catch up after just to move those over. Now, once you move the comments over to YouTube, Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm watching Charlie's subscriber count rise, and it's giving me a lot of joy to see a cabin creator get some buzz here. So, okay, enough talking. Are y'all ready for episode 2 of Charlie at Neighborhood Zero, building shed rooms? Here we go in 5, 4, in 3, 2, 1. Press play.
I think I hear it.
Yo, snaps to Charlie. That was amazing. That was amazing. Tippy, we're almost done with Zoom. We're almost done with Zoom. I have a few short asks. The first is pop back over to the general channel and just review all the comments. This is your last chance to submit any emoji reacts before we see who is the winner. I think Travis's comment might be the winner on multiple levels for the planet as well. So let's definitely have some space to continue those conversations, Travis. Thank you for sharing that. And okay, we're going to give folks just a minute here. Now, as you're going through that, choose a comment that maybe you liked or maybe an idea that you want to expand on and pop back over to that YouTube video to share that on the YouTube video itself. Okay, this is a really important step. It only takes each of us, 20 seconds to do this, but it helps out the channel a ton. It allows, Charlie to continue following his dreams, and we love that here. So please go ahead, drop that comment on the YouTube video itself. Feel free to react to other comments as well while you're already there. Hey, why not? And if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if anyone needs anything, oh my God, we only have 1 minute left. We don't go over here. We don't go over. So it's all happening. Much love to everyone. Thanks for stopping by the call. Complete that feedback form. Reach out to us. Please give more feedback. And we will see you on Friday for the community campfire. And after that, we will see you on Monday for the next Cabin Weekly. We'll see you soon. If anyone needs anything, hit me up. Much love. Peace. This video was brought to you by Bose. Hi, Chalice. What's up, Jason, Bill, Roxine, Charlie, Lauren, Zach, everyone? Thank you.
Where are you? All your dreams come true.